觉好像就是第一场大家都拿出一个大家自己最擅长的东西，然后要来一个强力的厮杀。这里一飞没东西。
So Rene is with the Sexton. Interesting choice there. I guess he is playing a Phantom Howl, so like you could Phantom Howl combos with Shadow Reaper if you have a Sexton on the board, but it's very niche. Novice Trooper from Rekni. He's going to go Faith here. No real point attacking the Bone Chimera, because there is a Prince of Catacombs in Rene's deck. There it is. So yeah, Rekni making the right choice of just going face. Gets the extra 2 damage in. And this Lyrio is actually going to be pretty good here. He gets to clear off 1 skeleton. Oh no, he's going to evolve the Novice Trooper and go face with it. It makes sense. He does have 2 Albert Samas in his hand, so he does have a lot of burst damage. And he's just probably going for the race. He is playing like a face sword, so it makes sense. Next turn next turn is probably evolved Albert, right? Oh, but what's this Cerberus? Does Rene full trades here? He gets back his board because of the Catacombs he played last turn, so he could clear everything and have a board 3 1-1s and a 5-1, which is pretty scary. Luckily for Rekni, he has a second Lyrio to clean off the Cerberus, and he could play Grimnir along with it. It's probably the play. I don't think you would evolve Albert go face this turn. It's kind of optimistic. Especially because the evolved Albert would just die to a Cerberus and 2 skeletons, and then Rene could just drop Death's Breath. Oh, but I think he's going for it. Very aggressive play by Ragnar here. Will he get punished? How is he? Is he just going to evolve Albert again next turn, and then if his plans fail, he could fall back with Grimnir on turn 10? It's a possibility. Oh, well, he does get punished by the Soul Squasher. Although Rene doesn't have board space to get a Death Breath out. Not that he has enough shadows yet with that Soul Squasher. But I don't think he needs it. He can evolve. Okay. Nah, he doesn't have to use that evolve here, because he's setting up Lisa next turn anyways. So now Rekna is going for the Lyrio turn. I don't know if going for Albert's face last turn made much sense, because doing that you're almost certain to fall behind, really fall behind on board, and then now you have to use this turn to clean the board up again. I mean, he does get a decent clear, but that's just going to be it with that turn 7 Nectar. And Rene pulling it off. Expected for Shadow to take the win. Tier 1 deck versus a Tier 2 deck. And honestly, like, I don't even think, like, on turn 5, if he had went for the clear, it would have made too much of a difference, because Shadow's board was just so big anyways. And just, it would take a couple turns to get control of the board, and then by then you'd probably just be dead anyways still. So might have been the right action by Rekni to just go face. So Rene now is just going to have to take a win with his blood deck. He must have all the Street Fighter characters. Oh, both of these guys just have all the Street Fighter characters, seems.
选一个被 counter 的
Vega versus
在
Ryu
是我蛮特别的啊。其实龙
A decent hand for
只
Dragon.
要跳得
Is
顺
it
的话
going to
其
be
实
enough
还
against
行
Blood though?
但是
Vengeance Blood can be pretty nutty if they get the strong 3-4-5 curve.
龙跳得顺的话是没有在管对面是谁的，可是那真的是要很顺的情况之下。
But this looks like a pretty solid hand for Rekni here. He's going to be able to ramp up. Oh my god!
哇哦
What?
其实鲜血花
That's a clock. I mean, like,
场攻就12
I mean that's even a clock for the Blood player because if he plays Belfagor or Soul Dealer, like he's just going.
真的很危险
He's actually going to kill himself.
自己也在扣血啊，你
He's not playing Soul Dealers in this list actually.
他这边可以场攻可以扣5滴
他应该有
哦，
按摩女。
Oh man.
好凶哦。
他这边如果那个，好吧，那这样刚好啊，他手上有没办法接应。
And Rekni just has to double trade and play the Cypher, but
下一回有血量两边。
oh my god, the Flower Bed's so scary because
8。
oh, he's just going face.
他应该有按摩你这样。
Oh, and the
快神
oh man, if he
他有按摩你。
if he has a Dark General, that's just game. What am I watching here?
下一回只要一爪一击就赢。
The Simple's going to let him heal up to 8, but that's not enough if a Dark General is in the hand.
回3D之后来到8点，然后下一回合2点，按摩女将就会赢。
对，这边5点，因为对面下一回的花园只能扣2点，那他这边补到5。
Going to evolve the Sybil prematurely because it's going to step lethal for next turn. And it's a bit harder to deal with. Dance to Death.
这个也够好了。
And that's going to be it for the Flower Beds.
4D。
Oh, that's so rough. Turn 8 play points can only drop an Isla.
不知道有没有下一回，可是他手上的确没有按摩女将。
And that's gotta be it. Yeah, Blood Wolf comes out. Oh my god, what a game. And that's going to be Rene taking a quick 2-0 versus Rekni from Twitch Stars. So the first set going to SageVerse Gaming. Oh man, I played a decent amount of Vengeance Blood, but I've never seen triple Flower Bed like that.
这个对，完美。
Some people are probably going to be disgusted by that game, but that was actually entertaining.
12滴血，他只花了3费，然后就打了你12滴血。好，所以恭喜这边出到这时光组队中立，是由我们。
Alright, so let's pull up the next player's deck list.
第2场，我们的中间时光组这边是由我们的6师傅对上我们的 SV 队的。其实我现在还没办法回神，能够帮你带走。下一场队伍是。
Is this just a commercial break, I guess? Yeah.
有时候还是显示
有点卡。
Fast forwarded too much.
那我们稍微等一下。
一个上下限很高的牌组。
Alright, here we go.
顺就顺到。
让我觉得，小六这边最难过的就是他的 ODK 要。
So the second set will be Ringo from SageVerse versus QTT6 from Twitch Stars.
没有空间的，是没有操作空间的。
所以这边果然还是想要先用生物法，先只要过了之后他的。
And QT6 is playing an. It's mid range. It's more of an aggressive. Actually, I would say it's aggro or a hybrid Shadow. It's got a lot more aggressive to it. It's got 2 Phantom Howls in it. He's got the Rabbit Necromancer. And it's runeless from. The rune from Ringo is a Temple rune. Tempo Rune without the mutagenic bolts. So, a little bit different from what people are playing as Tempo Rune nowadays. Does have one summon ice form. Alright, so this hand from QTD6. It's not bad, he has the 1, 2, 3. And then he could go... This 2 soul conversions is kind of dead right now. He'd rather just play things on the board. He doesn't want to soul convert them for cards. Just want to have the tempo on the board and push damage with them. Soul conversion is better later in the game when you could just weave it in on like a ghost and just draw 2 cards from it. Clark coming down. Does QTT6... Oh, okay. That zombie party is a pretty good pickup there. Because he gets to use the zombie party and play a Unica or the Soul Squasher. I imagine the Unica. And then just push 4 damage. Have 3 followers on the board. Your opponent's board is clear. Ringo could have like a... Levi would be pretty good next turn. Yeah, going for the zombie party. Yeah, and I think it's just still too early to soul conversion here. And it plays off curve.
没错，他这边进化撞一只，然后再贯穿或火球一只。
Alright, so it will be the Levi from Ringo.
会插一幕啊，还是插一幕贯穿，无文魔贯炮。
在这里处理一些法师。
对，他可以打头之后灵魂转移抽掉，然后再破人跳。
And the piercing runes. Pretty good turn for Ringo.
也可以直接归攻击。
他这里是对他这里还是
QTT6. What can he do this turn?
需要抽牌啊，不抽牌他这个手牌真的。
This play kind of sucks. Do you just play Catacombs? I guess you could Catacombs plus Soul Conversion and draw a card. He's going Soul Conversion before the Catacombs, so he's going to go for the Soul Squasher instead then. But I guess it's fine. Like, you play both now. I guess. Next one you have Cerberus with a spell with it. Or do you want to save the Soul Squasher, try to get more value?
比如说他刚刚可能就是要下龟公子，然后进化撞掉之后抽牌这样。对。
You for sure use one, yeah. It's way better than like if you're going Catacombs, you would have done it first. Yeah, okay, so he's just going to play the second Soul Squasher. I do think this makes more sense to get the tempo on the board. Your opponent's at 11. You also just kind of want to build up your shadows a bit because your opponent is at 11, so if you draw a Phantom Howl, you just win once you play the Cerberus. It's going to be a hard spot for Tempo Rune. And next turn I can even see QTT6 just playing Cerberus and like soul converting it to try to draw the Phantom Howl.
这里好像在 SVG 这边没有陶乐斯出场。
QTT6 has yet to use an evil point, but that's because he didn't really have. Well, he couldn't do it this turn with the Soul Squasher clearing, but. So Ringo has played a Clark. But he hasn't really played much spells with it. I don't think he has enough spell boost at the moment to have an explosive turn this turn. The Witchet just going straight into this Soul Squasher. Probably just going to be his turn. Oh, he gets a Blade Mage. It's a pretty good turn for him actually. So QTT6 could use that Cerberus, could use a Mimi to clear off 2 things with an evolve. But do you want to use the Mimi? Like, you have lethal if you draw Phantom Howl. So can you evolve Cerberus, trade into the Witchet, and then Soul Convert the Cerberus. Are you that desperate for the window, or would you just radical 2 followers here? And QTT6 is going to clear the 2 followers, which I think is more reliable than banking on drawing one of the 2 Phantom Howls in 29 cards. Ringo here is probably going to have to use an evolve on the Cerberus. 5 attack on the Cerberus could trade over a lot. The only thing you really want to evolve into to trade with the Cerberus would be Ogler or Daria. So if he doesn't have one of those cards, his Evo is going to be crap. Unless he plays like Time Sword Mage and then use the Crimson Sorcery on the Cerb.
不知道手牌是什么。
我在这边其实，变成说，其实在这边，因为六师傅这边他也是没有这样用克托的，所以，因为以补场能力来讲，虽然生物法它补场能力其实也算强，但是魔将克托的补场能力其实。
I wonder what options Ringo has.
生物法来的更强。
生物法就是。
Okay, summon Ice Form with Clark. Does he have anything to go with it, or is he just using Ice Form to stall a turn? Ooh. Okay. So he's just gonna be going face here. He's gonna be 2 damage off next turn with his current board. So there's no easy answer for QTT6 to remove this board. Like that summon ice form is actually really annoying. He might have to. What can you get if you play like Lyrio and or Bone Chimera? Then you still convert for 2 cards.
SVG 那边只需要1张佛魔跟炮就赢了，但是这解下去非常。
QTT6 also does not have to go for a clear. He could just like set up a board this turn, and then since your opponent doesn't have lethal, although you do risk just like dying to either a 3rd Blade Mage or a Piercing Rune, but that's pretty much it. There's no mutagenic bolts. I would imagine Catacombs and Soul Conversion here. Okay, so he's going for the trades. That Ice Form did a lot for Ringo. Just Soul Convert the Catacombs. Oh, picks up the Death Breath. That could be really good if Ringo doesn't pick up anything impactful this turn. So that's 4 damage on the board. There's no way he has 6 damage, especially with 2 cards. So Shadow could actually win this game now. It looked like Rune was in a good position, but he did have the lethal setup with his last play. But Ringo is going to be 4 damage short, and then now this Death Breath is going to come down and pretty much seal the deal. He could even use a zombie party to get a full clear. Do you zombie party the Clark and then go face? Nope. I think if you had zombie party the Clark and went face there, you would have set up a 2-turn lethal. However, I could see why you would hold the zombie party, because that zombie party represents 3 more zombies potentially next turn if your opponent clears his board. But I think like Ringo is like, he's pretty much out of resources. He doesn't really have any utility either that you could just kind of set up the 2-turn lethal. Because if you give your opponent more turns, he might be able to come around. But then again, like, these zombies are just so tough to remove. If Ringo had a Daria, he would have played it ages ago. Well, I guess you just trade into the Blade Mage and then go face. And now he uses the zombie party. I mean, it's pretty much over. Rune doesn't have, like, he's not running demonic strikes or anything, so there's no burn. I guess, like, triple magic missiles, magic missile snipe. No, Daria for 8's not gonna be good enough. Very close, actually. If Ringo had the Daria like a turn or two earlier, he actually probably would have won because he would have been able to draw his 1 damage burns. But that's going to be game 1 going to QTT6 from Twitch Stars. So now he just has to win with his forest, and his forest list looks like it's a OTK Roach, no Silver Bolt or White Wolf in it. He does have some interesting cards in that though. He has 1 Pixie Mischief, 1 Woodkin Curse, 1 Glimmering Wings. So a lot of 1-ofs in the 2-slot spells. He's not playing. He's got 2 Angelic Snipes. So his only targets for his Goblin Mage are his Rhinoceros and his Maze. So he built his list to be more consistent on drawing his roaches. And it seems heavily focused on your roach combo with the Curse and the Mischief. And then at the latter end, he's got like 3 Wolf Forests, a Dance to Death, and 1 Juggle Warden. I actually kind of like this list from QTT6. I'm not too sure about the Woodkin Curse. I can see some value in it. And Ringo's going to queue back in his Tempo Rune. Sometimes Goblin Mage, Trina. I think keeping the Goblin Mage is fine. Yeah. QTT6 is also running Triple Selwyn's command. So yeah, it's kind of, it feels similar to like the pre-nerf OTK Roach. With a couple changes, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I do think this matchup is so close now after all the nerfs that happened to both of these decks. It's funny because before they got nerfed, the matchup was close as well, and then post nerf, they're both it's still close. This hand though from QTT6 doesn't seem that good, and Ringo starting off with the Conjure Golem, probably spell boosting a couple followers as well. You're just gonna have to pass the turn for QTT6. To Clark. This looks like a scary curve from Ringo. If he has what we think he has. Gonna go for the Ancient Elf because it does take both hits from the followers on Ringo's side to clear. Although it does get easily removed by this ping. Trade with the Clark and 2 damage in with the Conjure Golem. Second Conjure Golem. It is possible that Ringo has just like these cards in his hand and no spell booster minions. So if there is no Daria on his hand, like this is actually favorable for QTT6. But of course we'll never know. Do you just drop these fairies here? I think you do because you just want to fight for board. If your opponent has Daria and you fall behind from Daria, you can't really come back from that anyways, so you just gotta hope they don't have it, and you just win on the board by resources. QTT6 also has like double fairy circle, so he has infinite fairies, essentially. Especially with like the ancient elf. Also, he does have the Woodkin Curse as well, so he could use the Woodkin Curse to hit something big with a fairy. Crimson Sorcery, going to take out that EPM. And you might as well trade. Do you trade with the Conjugal or you just hit face for 4? Ogler. Going to take trade. This is a very bad spot for QTT6 now. He's just he has to trade as much as possible. So he could actually go Fairy Circle, double Fairy, play a Roach, evolve the Fairy, and then he could kill the Levi and the Ogler. And that's probably the best he could do for this board. I don't think he could do anything else, like try to develop his own stuff and not care, because he's just gonna die. That Woodkin Curse doesn't really do anything. He's like 1 play point off because he has to activate Fairy Circle, get some fairies. So I do think QTT6 is just going to go for the Fairy Circle and Roach, just clear 2 things. He's not going to be left with a board, so he's still in a bad spot after this turn. He's left with 1 fairy to trade into a 2-1, but Ringo has 4 damage. He could do 6 if he wants, if he evos. It could be like that the last game where Ringo just runs out of steam and then Forrest can make a comeback. That's always possible. But not anymore with that Daria. That's Forrest players hate to see that. And Ringo now is just probably going to run away with his game with that Daria, unless he picked up absolutely nothing. But even if he got like cards that are unusable this turn, or not even effective next turn, he could still, his board is like still really threatening, and 6 play points for Forrest is not going to be enough to deal with this board. I think Ringo can evolve one of his 2-1s to push. Firstly, he pushes 2 extra damage, but he would also play around a Will of the Forest. Like Fairy Circle into Will of the Forest would clear this board at the moment. Although it's like Craig now in play, it's pretty much essentially the same as Evo in a Faller. So now he can save his Evo point for keeping the board control. But I think this is over for QTD6. Force can't really deal with this. So that Woodkin Curse requires something to be on the board to get a good trade. A Roach. A Golden Roach. So he can evolve the Ancient Elf to trade into the Daria, but still looking very bad. Just 1 piercing moon is over. I'd imagine Ringo has it. No piercing rune, but it's still 8 damage. Blade Mage does it.
差2
Wonder if it's ever right to Magic Missile's face so you could draw a card to try to find lethal if you don't have it. Because it looks like here that Ringo doesn't have lethal. But maybe he drew like a Piercing Rune or a Levi. And then that one damage would have been relevant. Because if you don't draw into the lethal by Magic Missile in face, you could just trade 1 for 2 ones in anyways, and then you'd still be at the same. You'd still have your opponent at 2 life, so. Alright, and that's going to be it for QTT6, and Ringo is going to tie up the series 1-1. That Daria was pretty much gave Ringo the gas to close out that game, because he was running out of resources there. And now he just has to get a win with his sword deck. So what sword list is he playing? Oh man, we're going to see some Pepe, guys. He is playing an ambush sword deck. And what I mean by ambush sword, it's not like your typical Vagabond Frog where you're playing exclusively Vagabond Frog as your officer and you're just focusing on buffing it. He's actually playing Ninja Trainee, Konoichi Trainee. He's got Palace Fencer, Tsubakis. So this is like an aggressive deck that just has ambush to make it so your opponent can interact with you. Essentially making all your followers make sure that can hit face if your opponent's not cheating and playing a ward. I'm actually pretty interested in watching the sword deck play out. Forest does have the fairy circle, because start off with that. Alright, so it's looking pretty good actually for the Forest player here. He's got the Dream Hand. Oh, Mei and Fairy this turn into Ancient Elf the following turn, because I mean Ringo could have a whole sword swing. He's going to need it for the Mei. Yep. Alright. So in this case then, I would actually go for Yo. QTT6 is a good Forest player, I guess. Picks up the Mei, gets the Fairy Circle, play another Fairy, and have a big Ancient Elf next turn. And he gets to bounce back the Mei and possibly just play it again. Because Mei is actually just solo carrying against ambush followers. Because most ambush followers just have 1 health except for Vagabond Frog. Even if Vagabond Frog comes out this turn, it's not going to be that great because Ancient Elf blocks it and then World of Force cleans it after. But yeah, it's going to be the Novice Trooper. And I think QTT6 should trade into this Novice Trooper, then just play a Fairy and then go Ancient Elf, because then you'll have a 4-5 which does not die. I was going to say it won't die to Floral Fencer, but there's no Floral Fencer in this deck. It's only White General has a 4-drop. But it does kind of make sense to trade into Novice Trooper because you go... Actually, it makes more sense to go face. Because if you trade the Novice Trooper, you play Fairy, and you go Ancient Elf, you have a 4-5, which dies to a White General evolved. But if you go face, you play Fairy and bounce them back for the Ancient Elf, you have a 5-6. Which White General doesn't trade into alone. You would have to trade Novice Trooper and the General. So this actually makes a lot of sense to make a 5-6 is quite a bit different than having a 4-5.
而且他现在即使扑的怪啊，手上还是有森林意志，只是现在精灵这边手牌好像有一点惨。
And yeah, this Ancient of is going to do a lot of work. Pretty much clears up that board, and then QTT6 can now play his EPM, kill off the Palace Fencer, get more fairies in his hand. Picks the second Wilderforce here. I mean, Wilderforce is really good against this deck because it hits all the ambush cards. I guess my concern is that the forest doesn't really have anything besides fairies. So it's like really dry. Does he have card draw? He's playing one Glimmering Wings. I guess you could just drop your fairies, right? Because the Will of the Force is going to hit stuff no matter what. You don't really need too many cards in your hand. But I like this, playing 2 fairies. Seems like the right amount.
他手上有2张森林意志，其实在对快攻来讲已经非常的痛苦了。快攻在对森林意志这种全结场的情况下，他又摸不到脸。
Pump his princess. Except a quick blader. He's not playing Taiji, he's playing quick bladers.
因为其实，在快攻皇这边，快攻王这边，他在
You should just play like yeah, he's playing 3 quick bladers. He should play like 2 Taijis, 1 quick blader, mix it up a bit. Evolving the Kunichi trade, or not the Kunichi trainer, the ninja trainee. He's going to trade everything. Ringo's in a pretty tight spot, man. He's got 2 cards in his hand. Force is at 20 life. It's just that those mazes did so much work early on, stopping the chip damage. Even without the maze though, like, with 2 Will of the Force, it's a lot of removal from QTT6. Bounce speed back. Decides to go for a 4-5 instead of a 5-6. I think I would have went for the 5-6 again just because it does trade into the White General Evil. Not that it really matters as much because you could, if that play happens, you could just Will of the Force. Like QTT6 is chilling for the next 2 turns because the Will of the Force is just going to clear everything from Ringo. Turn 6. There's Rita's command available for Ringo if he has it. Tsubaki. Oh, actually, QTG6 is actually a genius because if he had went for my play where I go for the 5-6, then he gets punished super hard by a Tsubaki. There's 2 Tsubakis in Ringo's list, so making a 4-5 plays around the Tsubaki really well. So how does Ringo want to trade here? If he plans to trade the pirate, he could trade it into the. He could trade it into the ward and then trades his pirate into the fairy. But the ancient elf, like how? What's the point of trading when you're just going to run out gas to forest anyways? Should you just go face at this point? Looks like he's going. Okay, he's going to go for the trade like this, leaving both of them at 1 house. Not that it matters, like this World of Force clears. Do you just pass now? I kind of don't want to play the fairies anymore now you drew a roach. I think you want to draw like a bounce and just try and go off on a roach combo now. The force is running out of steam too. So actually, like the sword, even though the sword's been running out of steam for a while, he can still make a comeback if fairy has a brick hand like this. Oh. Yeah, so you can wait a turn as force because Ringo can't play Albert on enhance next turn, so he's chilling. And then next turn he could go
对，因为
479, so he could
他需要
play.
把那个甲虫回回来。
He could do 10 damage with the roach.
而且你还有一个进化点情况下，你
It's a 5/6, or you could play around Tsubaki some more and get like a 4, make a 4/5. Trades off a little bit of damage off the roach.
做处理阿尔贝尔的，因为毕竟他在9 turn 这边
Probably would do that. Seems good. I think though if Ringo had the Tsubaki, he would have played it. Oh, he did have the Tsubaki. So QTD6 playing around that Tsubaki on turn 6 made a big difference there, I think. And now that he sees the Tsubaki, he could just make a big elf. The question is like, do you play the Roach again for 6 damage? I guess you would. Or do you think you're going to draw another guidance? If you evolve the Roach, does 8 damage, puts your opponent at 5. You do another 3 next turn if Roach survives. So you need 2 more. I think you should play the Roach here. You get punished if your opponent draws a second Tsubaki, trades into the Roach. But if you're banking on drawing a guidance, that's like that would be 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 12, 14. So he would actually have lethal if he draws a guidance. So QTD6 does have to make a decision here. Like, does he want to do the 6 or 8 damage now, or does he want to try to draw one of his 3 guidances in his deck? But yeah, I think if it was me, I'd just go for the Roach now. Just because your opponent's out of cards. You want to save the evil point, which makes sense. If he needs to trade for board more. But it really depends on what Ringo draws, because if he just draws like pretty much anything that's not a Tsubaki or... Okay, that picks up Albert. Yeah, I can only pick up Albert. Oh no, yeah, I can only pick up Albert. It's only commander. The other sword player was playing Fangblade. Or Fangblade is not even a commander. Anyways, that's going to be the set for QTD6, winning for Twitch stars.
这是在今天的赛事当中第一次打到我们的大将战。
So let's fast forward a bit here, try to get our next match.
就可以准备进行我们的大将战。
So 1-1 right now for SageVerse and Twitch stars.
来讲，这第3队是这第2队的大将战。今天打的第2队，对，第2队的大将战。
第2队大将战了吗？对，没错。
今天第1队是由 The Gus 打我们的 WF 嘛 ，King Wolf， 所以在
Dang, all these games are going to Game 3 it seems.
Twitch Star 打上我们的 SVG， 这是第2场的第1个大将战。
Alright, so this is going to be match point for both teams.
压力其实双方压力都很大。
And it's going to be
现在是1比1平手，等于说你这一场的胜负决定
Cole from SageVerse versus Mr. Mist from Twitch stars. Mr. Mist starting off with his blood deck versus Cole and his dragon. The dragon deck looks like it is a ramp dragon. Oh, it's got Prince of Darkness in there. Interesting. 2 Prince of Darkness, 2 Zeus, 3 Bahamut as his top and 10 drops. Also has Itherfield, Ouroboros, Sahaquil, 1 Forte. And this Bloodless, I assume, is just going to be a Vengeance Blood. Yep. Vengeance Blood, he does have a bit higher end. He got 1 Implancer, 1 Alucard, 1 Dance of Death, 1 Soul Dealer, Elora. Mr. Mist, yeah, Mr. Mist's Bloodless is quite a bit different. He has like Blood Pack in there. He doesn't have the Flower Beds. Mask of Blackbeat. Or Black Death, sorry.
生物法比较优的2个职业就是主教跟龙，因为这2个职业的 AOE 比较多，所以这个对局就是吸血鬼好打上面那2个，然后
Lots of options here for Mr. Miss on his turn 2 play. Typically I would probably go for the imp to start. The imp doesn't get killed by Breath of the Salamander. But going for the Blood Wolf is probably my second pick. Mr. Miss's first pick here. It does get rewarded. It does do an extra 2 damage if Cole just plays Isla this turn, which is the case. And now he can play Spiderweb Imp, and that protects him. It protects both the Blood Wolf and denies the ramp. But now that he drew the Grimnir, he's just going to play on curve here, which makes 100% sense because next turn he could just draw off Spiderweb Imp plus the Urias, and that's going to be a crazy board. It's possible that Cole just trades his Isla into the Grimnir so that he gets up to 6 play points for the Breath of the Salamander, but he has the Breath of the Salamander anyways, and he gets a full board clear. He gets to ramp up to 6. And next turn, if he has Sybil, he's actually in a really good spot because he would get Sybil for the ramp plus the heal, and he gets to evolve it for the huge 6/7.
就是我可以2+2、2+3什么4+1什么，我费用我能够打的东西很广，我能够做斩杀的东西都很低费，所以我能够搭配的东西都很广，所以主要还是龙族。
Don't know what he's thinking about. Maybe he's thinking about going face. I don't think you think about going face against Vengeance Blood that often though when they're above 10 health.
感觉应该是可以撞掉，因为前面10滴其实没什么。
Oh, okay. So he's thinking he wanted to keep his Isla. So I guess he doesn't have anything important where he would want to play on turn 6 rather than turn 5. He might just have like something like a Draconic Fervor, which being at 6 mana would make no difference. So might as well use the Blazing Breath now. Keep the Isla on the board as a body.
还是得撞因为他下回如果下水龙神物，他下回下水龙神物你就倒了。这里其实也不用准时下，他也可以像2+2，对。但是他这边下的话，基本上应该是要做掉，应该是要。
No man, the Belfry pick up for turn 4. So what you want to see as a Vengeance Blood player. No Air Jammer in the hand though. But this is going to set up the big pushes that Vengeance Blood could do while being in Vengeance. So Sybil comes down. It's alright. I mean, it's just going to die to the block drain most likely. So for this turn, Mr. Mist could go for Web Imp, Urias plus Drain. You got actually double Urias is probably better. Oh, he's going to go for the General here. This makes more sense actually, because you have 5 play points. You can play the Dark General and Diabolic Drain. You hit 6 to face. It's definitely a more aggressive play. Six attack is kind of annoying because it kills a lot of stuff that dragons play. Turn 8 or 8 play points. He could play. I guess he would want to play Sahako this turn. Probably the best. And then the Sybil would be okay because he could ramp up to 10. Gets 3 life. Ouroboros would be pretty meh because you have to evolve the Ouroboros and it just trades. You do get 3 life back though, which could be important. But I would have to say the best thing Cool could have is like Sahako into like a Bahama Ninja trade. Because next turn he might want to have the evil point if he has an Israfil. So he could play Israfil, gain life, and clear the board with it.
可能没东西解哦。那如果有斗气的话，可以抽2张，看抽不抽得到巨联龙骑士。
而且很特别的是，在 SVG 这边大将这边的龙珠，它是有带2张杀。
Looks like Cole has the worst option here, which is just Ouroboros. Oh wait. Okay, so he didn't want to activate Vengeance. This makes sense because he doesn't want to deal with an air jammer that pulls 2 things out. Like if he could just extend this game a bit more, he could possibly get there. So for Mr. Mist now, do you just play double Urius and Spiderweb him? Probably, right? You activate your Alucard for next turn to gain 4. And your double Urius is protected by the Spiderweb, so it could do quite a bit of damage.
他这边如果下那个若博斯，可以解掉1张尤利亚斯，或者是下那个伊斯拉菲尔无血，又回到了19点。但是
这2张尤利亚斯。
So 9 play points. The Israfil doesn't do anything. So it's gonna be Ouroboros to kill off this Urius. He goes down to 15. 2 damage on the board. 13 evil 11. 4 7. So Mr. Mist is getting there. I think he wants to avoid killing this Ouroboros, but he also doesn't want to die next turn. What could... Does he lose to anything? He shouldn't lose to anything next turn. Actually, he could die to like Scyther plus Salamander's Breast, but I don't think you play around that. Play around that now. He could go Spiderweb Imp plus Grimnir if he wants to be super safe, and evolve the Urius, push some damage there.
But 他这边血鬼其实他小孩这边有塞一张雨冰之舞。
哦，对，那对，如果刚好有雨冰之舞的话，
I think it's worth it to evolve the Urius. It's going to be protected anyways. Oh, he's going for the trade on it. Oh, double Hungering Horde. Interesting. This is very interesting from Mr. Mist here. Like, this Ouroboros is actually keeping Cole alive. That 3 life plus. Just keep on playing it to clear followers. I don't know how Mr. Mist is trying to win by going for this. Because he's not putting more onto the board. I guess he wants to save the Grinner so he can do for the enhance. But that Ouroboros is being a problem. Slowly grinding down the Vengeance Blood. I think it's time for Alucard. Oh, Air Jammer. I guess Air Jammer is better. Play that with the Spiderweb Imp. Next turn you have Razor Claw plus Alucard. And in turn 10 you have Grimnir. He gets a decent pull. I think at this point he would evolve. You should evolve the Blood Wolf, right? Like you don't beat Bahamut at this point. Like you can't. So there's no point saving the evil for anything. And having 4/3 doesn't die to Salamander's Breath. And you can play a Spiderweb Imp as well. So you're like your wolf should hit twice, unless your opponent specifically has a removal for it. So he saves the evil here. Yeah, I don't know what he's saving the evil for. Rip. Well, it didn't really matter what Mr. Myth was going to do because that Grim Mirror was just going to end the game no matter what. I do think that Ouroboros did carry cool through this. Mr. Myth did have a decent early game. So that's game 1 going to the Dragon on SageVerse Gaming side. So now he's just left with his Haven, and he's playing Aegis Haven, similar to the other Aegis deck we saw earlier. Oh, it's the exact same pretty much. Actually no, it doesn't have the Judge of Retribution. It's got Radiant Angels instead. Alright, so it's going to be the Aegis Haven versus the Vengeance Blood. Cole, SageVerse Gaming on the verge of winning the entire series against Twitch Stars to pick up the win with the Haven. The Haven does have tools to remove a lot of the blood stuff. Has all the banishing. It's got quite a bit of heals. It's got Frog Clerics, Radiant Angels. It's got removal with Zemus to create a Dark Gene. So Haven definitely has a good chance here, but Mr. Myth has Belphegor in his hand. He's got something to do on turn 2. I'd probably throw one of them away. Try to find your Devil Vengeance. Go from there. If you pick up a Devil Vengeance, I don't know how Haven comes back from it. Oh, okay. No, he mowed into that hand. So he has to have the double 2s. Picks up something to do on turn 3 though, so Mr. Myth has a pretty nice curve for his next 3 turns. Picking up the Blood Wolves early aren't that great because you're not going to pick them off of your Air Jammer. Although it is situational of what you want to pull off your Air Jammer at times. But sometimes pulling off double Blood Wolf on turn 5 from your Air Jammer is just so dirty. So what would be the best answer here for Cole? Would it be Scripture? Meh. Play Hound, Cleric. Arya is probably too slow. So it's going to be the Scripture from Cole. Alright, so Mr. Myth is going to go for the Blood Wolf over the Grimnir here. He just wants to get that damage in, because if Blood Wolf get hit twice, then it's worth it. Rather than playing off curve, because he's going to play Belphegor next turn, and he did pick up the Air Jammer. So he's going to go Belphegor into Air Jammer. So he really doesn't need to play on curve right now. So the Grimnir is useful later on if he gets to turn 10 and he wants to use the Enhance. So I don't think this game will go to turn 10, but we'll see. Anything possible against Haven. Haven does have stabilizing tools. Pleonaria, this is a pretty weak turn for Cole here. The Blood Wolf going to get an extra 2 and Belphegor's coming down. On the plus side, if Cole does have a Kujo, he could answer this board. Don't know how he's going to be able to answer the Air Jammer that comes out next turn though. Is Air Jammer to play? You can also go Belphegor plus Diabolic Drain. Because how do you remove this Kujo otherwise? You have to use an Evo, and then next to your opponent, I guess your opponent doesn't have Lion Spirit, but going for the Air Jammer, probably the strongest play. Do you just pass here. I feel tempted to save my evil, but Mr. Miss is going to use the evil to trade into that Kujo. I just think he could have gotten away with not using the evil point. Maybe this is better though, because either the Urius or the air jammer is going to survive the turn, and then he could do the extra damage. So it might make sense to use the evil there.
会很难处理哦，因为他这里最优的选择大概就是时髦全生理，要不然就是远古圣石之魂，这两张都可以勉强解到两张。
Alright, so turn 5 for cool. In his Haven list, his only follower is Radiant Angel. He would. Line Spirit wouldn't even have been good this turn if he had it. It's just going to be a really rough turn for him. I think this Air Jammer is going to survive. It's going to be the Frog Cleric, healing for 3. Well, technically just healing for 2 because the Urius is on the board. It's going to have to evolve this Frog Cleric to get over that Spiderweb Imp. So the evolve from Mr. Mist was really good because it paid off here. Oh man, this is a lot of damage. I think. I guess I'd be a bit afraid to use double Razor Claw because Aria comes up and then Evil the Raptor plus Dark Jane just kills you. So yeah, Belfriger into, I would assume, Diabolic Drain. And then evolves the. Do you evolve the Air Jammer? The opponent might have Zemus next turn. Do you force the Zemus next turn though? Because Aria is popping. So if your opponent's using Zemus, then the Aria just did 2 damage face and that's it, right? And then after they Zemus, it takes your entire turn. You could just drop your Implancer, or you could have. It'd probably be Implancer. So yeah, I actually don't mind evolving the Air Jammer here, forcing your opponent to have a Zemus to clear the board, and then you just follow up with your Implancer. And Mr. Miss is going to do that.
因为你打比赛，我们上帝视角，我们旁观者，我们会比较轻松，这也不算错斩，因为这个是你根本想不到，你很难去想，不是说想不到，很难去想。
Oh yeah, and the Urius also does damage. The evil 100% makes sense then, because the Urius did the 2 damage from the Aria, and now he just has double Razor Claw, so that's lethal in his hand. And you're forcing your opponent to use a Themis, which takes his turn, and he's not healing this turn then. So that might just be checkmate for Mr. Miss. Because if your opponent's not, if Cool's not clearing the board, he's just dying to the followers. And if he clears the board, he's dying to the Razor Claw burn.
这里他可能只能下特米斯审判，而且你甚至那只鸟也不敢打进复仇，不然你这边没有办法解。黑真德下去也是解不完。小兰应该是有想到，就是他可能等下会下审判或者是黑真德。那
Ooh, could be Jean, Dark Jean, John. It's not gonna be enough though, unfortunately. Whoa. What? Oh, okay, that makes sense. For some reason I thought the tiger could attack already, so I thought he just evolved for no reason, but yeah, he had to do this. And he's just dead. And Mr. Miz going to tie it up 1-1. Making this a super tight series between these teams. Came to the 3rd player, and now they're on the last game of their set, which will determine the match between SageVerse and Twitch Stars. So it's going to be the Temple Rune versus the Aegis Haven. This rune does have the mutagenic bolts in it, And it's got a bit more burn. It's got demonic strikes as well. So if Rune could get a explosive start, he could just burn out the Haven before he could stabilize.
这个棋手只要换到陶乐斯，他如果信仰足够，只换一张牌，相信就能换到陶乐斯。
巨连这巨象换，然后进陶乐斯，然后
陶乐斯完美，
就可以五turn下陶乐斯。
And with his hand though, I feel like you just keep the Craig, throw back the Clark and the Conjure Golem. Unfortunately, I can't read who's going first, who's going second. Just going to throw back everything. Picks up the Daria, which is important. It's a Conjure Golem, so he gets something rolling on turn 2. Okay, so he was going second. He's just, I guess, hard mulling for the Daria is okay. Picks up the Craig anyways, so he's going to get the extra spell boost. He could spell boost his Ogler if he wants to play Ogler on 3. But most likely not, you usually just go for the Daria. Alternatively, he could go and play Conjure Golem, gets double spell boost. Probably makes a little difference though. I would go for the Craig because you only have 2 spell boost minions in your hand. Like next turn you might draw another one and the Conjure Golem gets more value. And you're probably going to Craig your Daria anyways, so. And you never go Levi here. I know that for sure. Yep, so he's going to go for the Craig. I guess he's just thinking if he wants to play Ogler next turn, which I think is a bit weak. You really want to go for the early Daria especially against Aegis Haven. Because if you take it a late game against Aegis Haven, they drop Aegis, they have a lot of health still. Even if you go for a big board off your Daria, they could just clear it with Semis Decrees. Piercing Rune, okay. He's going to get the Conjure Golem up. Next turn he's got Levi plus Piercing Rune available. Which is probably going to be good enough for next turn. Turn 4 for Cole, he has... His only plays would be... I don't think he would play Priest of Kujo if you're not going to evolve it this turn, especially against Temple Rune. Tribunal's alright, I guess you could just set it up. You could just trade, and then, okay, Prison Priestess was probably the best. Especially if he draws into a plea here. Nope. No plea, so it's probably, so it's either a Arya or a Tribunal. I guess it could be Tessa Strength too. Could be anything. Alright, I think it's gotta be Levi. Levi Evo plus Piercing Rune. Although the Clark is tempting because you get some nice spell boosts and you have Daria available next turn. Like you don't really want to play Daria next turn anyways because you have like good cards in your hand. I mean, he could play Daria next turn if he wants, but yeah, it's most likely going to be Clark, Ogler, like a combination of Clark, Ogler, and Crimson Sorcery. Maybe Dance with Death, but I think Dance with Death would be a bit too slow. Like we're transitioning into the mid game now, and Cole is still at 18 life, and like. The thing with playing Daria this turn too, and if you get a big board, we're on the turns now where Cole can just have Semis Decree and just clear everything. So Daria has lost its effectiveness. Like ideally, you would have wanted to play Daria last turn, where your opponent can't Themis decree it, so you got that damage in.
对，就是你要丢陶瓷，你必须要把手牌先赶快清光啊，就是把有效能够利用的赶快清一清，不然其实。
So I think you could just go Clark. You might as well do check out your spells too. Crimson Sorcery. I imagine now he's going to snipe. Like, if you're going to just play one of them, you would just play the Angelic Snipe over the Sorcery. And you probably don't Evo here. Unless you're baiting out the Themis for your Daria. Then I can see that. Because this board currently dies to Cujo. So if you evolve the Ogler, it's actually not bad. Oh, and there's the Cujo. So it actually would have paid off if he evolved like either the Clark or the Ogler there. In hindsight. But we actually don't know what Cool has in the rest of his hand, so he might have had an answer to punish the pre-evo. Oh, but it's still fine. Mr. Mist could dance to death plus Daria this turn. And the Tribunal's not getting popped this turn, which is nice. But this hand is gonna have to be, this draw from Daria is gonna have to be really good for Mist to get to try to win this game. He's gonna probably have to draw into a second Daria, so he could keep like if he could keep chaining the next couple of Darias, then he could probably win. He's going for the interesting. So he's banking on drawing Crimson. He was banking on drawing the Piercing Rune? Why not just dance to death? Like, does he really want the one extra damage but leaving the Cujo on the board? Because now he's gonna have to use an evil point on this Cujo. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Like, you're using the evil point for one extra damage, and then you're damaging your own followers. For taking a gamble. Like, even if you drew Piercing Rune, you also have to, you would have to use an evil point, and then not use the evil for either face damage or trading. Alright, but for Cole now, he's... what can you do to answer this board? The Daria is pretty threatening. I guess if he has Dark John, he could clear the Ogler, Evo the John to trade into the Daria. It's not bad. Oh, but the Daria trades into the John because of the buff. That's pretty funny. But he's got to do it anyways. The Mr. Mist drew pretty poorly. Daria came a little bit late there. Yeah, because Mr. Mist drew like what, triple magic missiles. He would have rather liked to see these Blade Mages and Darias instead. Oh, that's pretty good. I think this turn you could wait on the Kaleidoscope goal and just go for the Golem though, because Daria's not popping and there's no countdown cards in the Haven deck. So yeah, I would go for the Conjure Golem because it could do the 2 damage. You don't have to bounce back Daria yet. And you can always just use the Glow next turn. It does the same reduction to your followers. So next turn was the Glow. Could you play the Blade Mage and the Daria? it would be 2, 4, 6. Yeah, he could play exactly Glow, Blade Mage, and Daria next turn. The Tribunal doesn't get popped. Yeah.
丢出牌是冲1之外，还会抽1张牌。
那这里
他应该是忘记了。
对，那这里应该是这一回合你还是。
So does it make more sense to collect Glows then? Because I did miss the Tribunal going off that turn. So if you Glow, you bounce back the Aria, then the Tribunal doesn't hit anything. But I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't really make much of a difference.
有点可能太紧张了吧。 刚刚应该是要用红色光辉哦，感觉。虽然对面主教是卡林，主教是没有加速的。
So cool. Thinking about what he could do with his last 3 play points. Maybe he has something like a Grimnir that he might want to play. And he's thinking if he wants to hold it. I would actually, if that's the case, you probably do hold a Grimnir just because you probably want another answer to a Daria board later in the game. However, if you have a Semis Decree, then you don't really need the Grimnir, so you can just play it. Prison Princess you always play. Test of Strengths, he might be thinking about playing, and like if he has Test of Strengths, but he doesn't have Aegis, he might want to hold it.
或许他觉得他想要就是保有场上优势。
It's just going to be the Heavenly Hound. Okay, makes sense to play. No more evil points anyways.
那就是真的应该是
没有，他6倍应该是真的没有。
That Clark does. That's actually a pretty good Clark. Because he could do Clark and Glow. That's a 3 spell boost in total, so that'd be 2, 5, 7. Yeah, so he could do everything. Bouncing back to Aria makes sense. Oh. Oh, could he do that as well? 5. Yeah, he could play Glow, Clark, Blade Mage, and then Daria. Should even have play points there. Because he gets 3 spell boosts. So Blade Mage is 0, and Daria is 1. So it's exactly enough. He definitely just glowed it back. Oh, he doesn't glow it back. Is he concerned about the cards he's going to draw being good? Or did he want to play the Blade Mage that he draws? I don't know. I feel like he could just go for the Temple there. But anyways, he could just go Blade Mage here. Save the Evil because he has the Levi, so it's 1 extra damage. So with Levi plus Piercing, he's got 5 damage available in hand. Now Radiant Angels. Is Haven gonna survive this? 4 play points left. Must be a scripture here. Kills off a Blade Mage. And that's just gonna be 1 damage off for Mr. Miss. Oh, I mean, he gets to clear the board with the Levi plus the Piercing rune, and then he could just fill up. Yeah, so you trade the Levi into the Angel, Piercing Rune. If you're I feel like Cole has a Grimnir in his hand because previously we were talking about it when he could have been thinking about playing the Grimnir. Instead, he played Hound. So if he plays Grimnir here, does that get him the win? Mr. Mist does have more burn in his deck. He has, I believe he still has some Piercing Runes, Demonic Strikes, still has the Angelic Snipes, Magic Missiles. So he has a lot of outs of just drawing a win here. Just going to drop everything, saves the Craig for possibly drawing. Actually, he's seen all of his Daria, so it doesn't make a difference.
就算没有圣人蛙，还是不会死，差一点。对。
So it's either Cool has the Grimnir for the clear or Themis, or Mr. Miss is just going to win. Okay. Does he have enough removal? Test his strength. No, that's not going to be it. Oh wow, so Coach just has a bunch of amulets in that, and that's going to be GG. Mr. Mist going to take it for Twitch stars. And that's going to be Taiwan winning again. And Taiwan's 2-0 against the Japanese teams right now. Wow, that was a